Hello, everybody, and welcome to another Community Series profile. I am Garrett Pedlar, and with me is Pat Morden of the Grand Bend Rotary Club. I'm so glad that she sat down with me today. She has an exciting project that she's been working on for a few years now. You're going to hear all about it and much more. But Pat, thank you so much for sitting down with me today.
Oh, I'm delighted. It's great to have this time. Yeah.
Give us your history in the area as living in the woods south of town in a beautiful spot. Give us your history of the area.
Well, we moved out to Grand Bend from London about 22 years ago. And at the time, I think we had a little business going and it was really busy and we never got away for holidays. And we said, well, what the heck? We're just going to go live somewhere where you're on holiday all the time. And Grand Bend lived up to that in every respect. So that's how long we've been here. And in that time, I've been involved probably with maybe three things that really stand out to me. The Community Foundation, which I know you know lots about, where I was on the board and chaired it, and then worked as executive director for 4 years. That was a big thing. Lakeshore Eco Network, which is a little environmental group that my partner and I founded and continues to grow and basically we say what we do is plant trees to fight climate change. So that's an ongoing theme for us. And then I joined Rotary about 3.5 years ago, and that's been another big way of belonging to the community. And that's what Grand Bend's all about, really, isn't it? Is being community together.
And I love to hear, I think the people who enjoy this area the most are those who get involved in the community groups, to see the greater population getting involved and being with like-minded people, with your eco network and with the Rotary. These are like-minded people that want to see better and bigger things for the area and see the longevity of our world and our planet and our ecosystem.
Well, that would be nice.
For generations to come. So that's really, I applaud that, because you hear too many people that move to this area and say, it just wasn't what I thought it would be. And it ends up being, I find out, they usually never got involved in anything.
I think that's absolutely true. And I do remember when we were first moved here, we met a couple, and Hank and Jackie Kretsch, actually. And I don't know if you know them, but if you would have known them, Hank's passed some time ago. But he said to my partner, you got to join Rotary. That's where everything sort of happens. and he found out that I had been involved with the London Foundation, and he said, okay, well, you got to join the foundation board. And that was it. That we were on a train that was going down the tracks at that point. We got to meet so many people and find out what was going on and make maybe a small contribution. So yeah, it was what makes it all worthwhile, for sure.
Totally, that's awesome. And Pat is the treasurer of the
secretary, actually.
The secretary of the Grand Bend Rotary Club.
They'd be in trouble if I was the treasurer.
What's going on exciting in the world of the Grand Bend Rotary Club?
Well, it's continuing to go from strength to strength, but really right now, as we go into the summer, the focus becomes on Autumn Indulgence, which is the club's one fundraiser of the year. It's the big gala dinner, which will be September 26th this year. And we're just getting rolling, but from here on in, it's going to be Autumn Indulgence, a lot of focus on Autumn Indulgence, selling tickets, finding sponsors, promoting the whole event. There's a lot to be done there. We also, the Rotary Club is involved with Lakeshore Eco Network and a tree planting project. And that's going to start getting rolling. We're constantly working with other community organizations to make maybe relatively small grants, but they're grants that make things happen that wouldn't otherwise be able to happen. So that's an ongoing interest of the club as well. So there's always something percolating.
Well, and if you know Grand Bend, there's lots of different futures of Grand Bend that the Grand Bend Rotary Club has donated to. The beach band shell was a big one.
Yep. The trail from Grand Bend to Pinery. Those are the two that people always think of, even if they don't know anything else about the club. But there have been a number of contributions. Yeah.
Very cool. And so that was September 26th this year. Autumn Indulgence, the Grand Bend Rotary Club. If you want to get tickets, maybe that's coming up in the next month or two.
It should be online. Within a month. Yeah.
Awesome. But what's the main reason? There's lots to talk about with Pat. She's got a wealth of knowledge of the area and different community groups. But as much as the Grand Bend Rotary Club has a lot going on, what a big project I wanted to talk to her about today, and a really exciting one, is Pat put together a history, a brand new, we got it right here, history of Grand Bend, and it's called Days Pass Away Like a Dream, the Stories of Grand Bend. And this is fresh off the press. You just got this on Monday or Tuesday?
Yeah.
Monday. What inspired you, and what brought you to the point of looking at this? What inspired you?
Well, I have to say, first of all, full disclosure, I have a background, my academic background is in history. I've always had an interest in local history. I did some local history books when I lived in London. So I've always had a little bit of an inkling that I would love to do something on Grand Bend, but I didn't really see an opportunity, and there were a number of existing books anyway. But how this came about is kind of interesting. You've probably heard of the Warner Preserve, the land that Peter Warner and Peter and Esther Warner donated to the Land Trust to be preserved for the future. And the Warner Preserve land, of course, was related to the family that ran the Lakeview Casino. They owned the Marywood Farm, which became the Warner Preserve. So Peter Warner had approached me to write a little history, just a little pamphlet about that connection, about the history of the Marywood Farm. And I was working on that, and somehow or another, one thing led to another, and before I knew it, we were writing the history of Grand Bend.
Wow. How many years was this in the making?
Actually, I started, less than a year.
Wow.
That's, I started last late spring, I guess, and yeah. So.
Well, that goes to show you how much of a professional you are, because you hear people writing books and it takes them 10, 15, 20 years to write a book.
Yeah.
Where did you get all your information from? Was it all on the internet? Were you at museums? Local knowledge? Where did you?
Well, there were a number of really important sources. So certainly the Lambton Heritage Museum. They were just so helpful, both in terms of the information and also the photographs. And I would just go in there and they'd bring me out a box and say, "Here, have a look at this." And I would just be in my glory. I love that stuff. Not everybody does. So that was a big help. And there is some information online as well. But one thing that I really wanted to make sure I did was talk to people. So people who've been around in the community for much longer than me. And just, just hear some of their stories. And some of them went in the book and some of them didn't. I was trying to keep it short and very easy to read. So but it was just a real privilege to talk to some of these individuals and get their perspective on all the changes that have taken place in this town. Because it's a pretty interesting town when you think about it. Starts out as a pioneer settlement, ends up as this, sort of high-end beach resort by the early part of the 20th century, and then here we are, 100 years later, and it's a different place again. So there was a lot of changes. So people shared their stories, and then the other really important source was Linda Hillman Rapley, who is our unofficial historian of Grand Bend, and the resources that she has just in her back room are enviable. And she provided guidance, but she also provided a lot of sources for me. Yeah.
Very cool.
Yeah.
And Pat is bang on that. I am not a huge reader. And I went through it real quick, and it's big enough lettering. I can definitely take this book on. What was a surprising, something that struck you didn't know? What's something that comes to mind in our history of Grand Bend that was, oh wow, isn't that interesting? What was just a one-off that you got?
Well, this is a funny one. It just amused me. But I was speaking to the sister of Archie Gibbs, the guy who ended up owning the beach. I don't know if you know that story. Yeah. But she told me, and so I knew a little bit about that story, and I obviously researched it and put it in the book. But she told me that when she was a kid, the roads down, everywhere really, but certainly down along the beach, were unpaved. So they were just, when you think about it, what were they? They were sand.
Yeah.
And she said that cars used to get stuck in the sand.
In the middle of the road.
Yeah. And the great thing was that I found a photograph of a car stuck in the sand from, I don't know, 1930 or something like that. And I just thought, what a great little wrinkle that you would never have thought of, right?
That's really
Yeah.
cool. And I think what's awesome about this book too is because I have a few of those history books of Grand Bend. I think I got two or three
Oh,
of them,
sure.
three of them from the different years as people wrote them. But none of them are in color. So you've tried to bring where you can bring things to color and
Yeah.
bring them to life, and just something that's more updated and encapsulates the last 30, 40 years since I think maybe the last one came out was like in the 80s.
Exactly.
That
yeah.
blue one?
Yeah.
The blue one?
Which is 45 years ago, actually.
Yeah. So,
So yeah.
there's a lot of history that happened in 45 years. A lot of changes happened in those 45 years.
And I don't know if I got it all, but I did. I wanted to just sort of. That was one thing I really wanted, was to tell the whole story, and not get too detailed or too stuck in any one era or anything like that, but just kind of give people a sense of this story, the narrative running along through basically 200 years. Yeah.
Very cool. And when does this book pick up? Like, what's the starting year that you go back to?
Well, it's about 1830.
Isn't that incredible?
Yeah,
200 years.
Yeah.
Isn't that awesome?
Yeah. So, and then, I couldn't quite keep up with things that were happening today, so I think I would have to say that it probably finishes in 2025.
Right.
Maybe mid-2025, so I might have missed a few things. But that was actually the most challenging part, actually, was doing the latest stuff, because no one has written about that from an historical perspective, right? So I was going through newspaper files and, talking to people and trying to figure out what had been going on. And eventually remembering some stuff myself. So
Right.
Yeah.
Isn't that interesting? You had maybe the more challenging time to figure out all the facts, or put together enough facts to make a story and make a chapter about it, of the more recent stuff
Yeah.
than the stuff maybe 40, 50, 60 years ago.
And you have to be careful too with the recent stuff, because you don't want to be in any way biased or put your own take on it, which I think I avoided, I hope, but anyway, we'll find out.
And where can we buy this book?
Well, any Rotarians can sell you a book, and we're also hoping to have some other outlets as well in town. We just haven't quite finalized that. It was Monday, so we're still working on a few details. And we also hope to have it at community events. So we're talking about having it at the Sunset Music concerts, and maybe July 1, and anywhere that we just set up a table where people can pick it up as they go by. Yeah.
That makes a lot of sense. Those would all be local people that would love to have it.
Yeah, and we think maybe it would be a nice thing for people who are just our community is growing, right? And the projections are for it to grow really significantly in the next 10 years. So for newcomers to have a sense that, maybe I was lucky because I met lots of people who'd been here for years and years and years, and could, kind of share those stories, as we went along. But we lose history as time goes by. So this will kind of, for people who are newcomers and maybe haven't had that opportunity, this will give them at least a glimpse at the past.
Absolutely. No, that's really cool. I love the project. It's $30 there, you said?
Yeah.
$30 for the book, and it's an easy read. I love that I think you're giving me a great idea for a closing gift to someone buying in Grand Bend, so that they can know the history. Because Oakwood Park came out with a 100-year book not too long ago, so I bought a few copies of those for people who buy in Oakwood Park.
Okay.
Now this is more the Grand Bend history, so I love that I can pick one of these up.
Anybody who buy, yeah, and actually I defined Grand Bend, you might be interested to know this, as the ensemble cut to the water plant. So there's a little bit about Goose Marsh.
Cool.
Yeah.
Very cool, and the rich farming history down this way.
Yeah, I didn't go into that too much because I couldn't decide how far east to go, if you know what I mean.
Right.
But a lot of the histories have been written about the village as it existed before it started to grow, and just along the shore. And there is a lot more to Grand Bend than that, and so it's worth and the pinery. I think I think the Pinery has its own history documents, but they've never been included in Grand Bend history.
Right.
So I think that's really important.
Now, I know everybody, when they think of Grand Bend, I help enough people that are retired and were around in Grand Bend during the riots.
Oh,
So
yeah.
I got to ask, is the riots in this?
Of course it is. Of course. I like all the little, I was going to say dark episodes. It's not really dark. It was kind of silly, actually.
Yeah.
but that was, above all, I like to be a storyteller. And so there's some great stories like that. The riot's a good one because it really seems like it was just a bunch of kids, and then somebody read the riot act,
Right.
literally read the riot act on the street, and therefore it becomes officially a riot in the history, and that's kind of funny. But I mean, rowdyism though is a bit of a theme in especially in the mid 20th century. Like there was the riots, but then that was a problem in the 80s as well, and so. It is part of our history, and it's kind of fun. And then there are other things that are just great stories. Well, like the Archie Gibbs story, finding out that a guy actually owned the main beach. I mean, that's crazy, right?
Mm-hmm.
There's a story about the Jewish gentleman who wanted to buy a cottage in Oakwood, in
Beach
Beach
of
of
Pines. I have heard this one too.
Yeah, and that's a great story. And even some of the characters that helped to establish the place back in the early 20th century. It's got, like every town, it's got its stories.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what I wanted to catch.
Really cool. And I think, what makes a lot of local area, like I think Thetford's, Park Hills, Forest kind of are more inland towns. Their history was really developed by the train system coming through.
That's right. Yeah.
Whereas Grand Bend's didn't have the train coming through. It was always a bit of a getaway spot, and now it was lumber going down the Asaba River and like a sawmill and that kind of stuff in our early history.
Yeah.
So it's kind of neat. It's a different type of history.
It is, and it's interesting that in the very early days, no one saw any. They would never have seen that resort town thing coming because no one really valued natural areas. And when you're talking in the 19th century, there were like trees everywhere, right? I mean,
Right.
Trees were the enemy because you chopped them down and sent them to the lumber mill. But gradually, around the turn of the century, people started, as Ontario became more urban, people started thinking, oh, it's not the most healthy lifestyle. We should have somewhere to get away to, as you say, and I think that's when Grand Bend came into its own. And of course, the train did stop in Park Hill, so you had to get on a cart and go the rest of the way, and it took 2 hours. So that was, and then of course, once people started having cars, that changed everything.
Yeah. Thankfully, it's only a 15-minute drive now from Grand Bend.
and some of the early developments, well, like Oakwood is a good example. That was called Walker's Folly because everybody thought it was nuts that this guy had bought this land, which was just sand and scrub oak, and we can't grow anything on that. So what was the guy thinking? Well, he had some visions, and it worked out okay.
Very cool. I've never heard that name before, so
Yeah.
I'm gonna learn something in this book for sure. Well, thank you so much for sitting down with me today, Pat. This was, I can't wait to read it. If you are from the area, you got to get a copy of this. If you've read the past history, like I say, that last one that was well published was in the 80s. So there's going to be a lot of new stuff in this that isn't in those ones. So pick up a copy, get a hold of someone at the Rotary, whether it's Pat or someone else, and get yourself a copy today. Pat, is there any final mentions you'd like to make, or did we get it all out of you?
I think, and I'm just really grateful to the Rotary Club for they're the publisher of the book. So I mean, I wrote it, but it took the club to see this as essentially. I mean, it is a fundraiser. I mean, there hope there'll be some proceeds, but more than anything, it was really seen as which I thought was pretty cool, as something to give the community. To give the community its own story. And so I hope that it'll be seen that way and valued that way.
I absolutely do think it will, and I love history, so I can't wait to read this.
Oh, good. I hope there's more of you around.
Well, thank you so much for watching another Community Series Profile. Once again, this is Pat Morden with the Grand Bend Rotary Club and the author of this new Grand Bend history book. Go pick up a copy today. Have a great day, everybody, and thank you so much for listening and watching.